Yes.
On the incident with the tablet or iPod tab, what is your recommendation? Because we researched and the GPS only works within the network of the internet here. And once if somebody does take a tablet or an iPad and it's off the premises, you cannot further track it. Do you know of anything else?
No, well, and I don't know, like, for instance, I know your daughter has a Samsung, which is kind of cool because I checked it out one day when I was in there.
Did you have authorization?
Oh, I just looked over her shoulder. I was like, oh, that's what those things look like. You know, I'm not sure. I know in the iPad, if I leave my iPad at work, I have access to see where it is no matter where it is.
Because it's still...
It's just hooked up to... In an iPad, there's a tracking device in here. So if I left this at Starbucks, or if I left this at the Harris Teeter, I can go on my phone or my home computer and pull it up, and it actually pulls up a grid map, and it will tell me where it is. I can call it, I can shut it down, I can send a message to it. There's a lot of things you can do. Now, that doesn't mean that you probably couldn't, if you're a really smart, tech-savvy person, wipe it clean and start over again. I don't know enough about that, but I know that, for instance, if I leave mine somewhere, I can access it anywhere. I'm not sure the technological capability of some of the other devices.
Well, because my daughter's tablet, in order, like, if we're out on the road, the only way that she can connect in and do internet stuff is she has to go and stream through my phone.
Like a hotspot?
Yeah. So, I don't know, I'll have to look
wherever it's connected on a Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Right, but if a child were to take her tablet, I can't see where it's at beyond school.
Yeah. One of the things I've been really...
somewhere else.
Yeah, when they connect somewhere else, it'll
As soon as
show
they
up.
turn it on at their house, you should know that it's
If they're on a
house.
Wi-Fi.
Or if they're at Target or they're at Starbucks, you should be able to find it.
Where there's Wi-Fi.
And one of the things that I've really been, as I've been walking in and talking to kids about it, there's a couple good things and a couple bad things. One, some people's iPods are an older generation, and I don't think they can get the iPhone Find My Phone app on them for some reason. It just isn't, they're not compatible. The other thing I'm really pushing with kids is to make sure they have a security code on their device, because at least you want to make it as complicated and difficult as possible if somebody is to take a device, that you have a code that they can't access the tool. You'd be amazed, and I'm talking adults and children, of people that don't have that on there. So, you know, just like in anything else, you want to make sure, you know, just like with your car, you don't want to leave your GPS hanging in your window. You're making life easy on a criminal. I know because I did it. And you know, so they shatter your window, they'll take it. The same thing is going to be with a device. If you make it easy for them, they're going to be more likely to take your device. So you just want to make it as complicated as possible. Again, to tie into that and reiterate, I understand completely if a parent does not want to send those devices to school. I'm fine with that. We are working diligently to make sure we have student access anyway. So when you walk into classrooms in 5th grade, and I have been posting quite a bit on our Facebook page if you had the opportunity to go on, but you will see our kids working collaboratively using it as a tool. That doesn't mean every child has to have a one-on-one device. It could be a group of 4 that's working on a math activity, and one of the students' responsibilities is to search for something using the tool, or they're using it to take notes, or they're using it for whatever the situation may be. It doesn't necessarily mean that every child in that class needs a phone every single time. Now, there are going to be some times where a teacher eventually down the road may want to use it for a survey or a poll. There's ways you can do that online where you can actually type into your phone and it'll go up to the computer and you can do an immediate survey and kids could actually see the data forming as you go. Down the road that may happen, but right now we could do it with groups if we wanted to, but we're not doing that because the expectation is that not every child is going to have a device available to them, but we are using them regularly in 5th grade with our kids. So we've been really, really excited in regard to how they've started to use it. Again, it's not going to be something that may be used every single day, but it is being used. And hopefully your kids in other classes are talking about them too. We are trying to push it as much as we possibly can across the school. Now again, it becomes a little more complicated when you have one device in an entire classroom, but a lot of teachers are using it during workshop time to give children access to it. So hopefully if your children aren't talking about it, ask the question. One of the things I do is when we do a survey, I randomly select 6 parents every week and I call them. It's one of the questions I ask. Do you feel like your children has access to technology at the school? Are they talking about it? So make sure you're talking to them about it, because they may be using it and just aren't mentioning it, or their class may not be using it. And when those situations happen, we do need to be aware of those situations. But I can say in K3 for sure, they are doing a really good job of integrating it into workshop time. I haven't seen it as much in 4th grade, though I think it's been hit and miss in regard to how the teachers are being creative and using it. But in 5th grade, they obviously have much more access than anybody else, because every single room has 10. So that makes life a lot easier for those. But that's the grant that they received in that regard. Any questions? Any more questions about the BYOT? Okay. K2 report cards is another big thing that just rolled out. If you have a K1 or 2, K 1st or 2nd grade student, you saw for the first time a 6-page report card. And trust me, your reaction as a parent was quadrupled by the teacher that had to fill it out. It's not a JV Washam thing, but it is really a developmental change in regard to how our system is trying to better inform parents and really focus more and align more with the Common Core, which is the new standards we have as a country. And what it really looks at is behaviorally over time how our students performing. It's more performance-based. So you will see a report card that is 6 pages long. There's no question about it. But we are not teaching all the things on there at one time. It's evolving. So what you'll see hopefully next quarter is that teachers will be able to have a checkbox next to the standards that they will be hitting. So for instance, when you get the report card, you'll see a checkbox next to certain standards. That's the one that the grade level covered that quarter. So parents will be able to see, all right, we focused on these things during the 2nd quarter. This is how our children perform. They also changed the scale a little bit in regard to what the expectations are. Are you meeting expectation, exceeding expectations, and things like that. So it's evolving. It's an online process that teachers are using now. It failed miserably the 1st quarter for the teachers. The update process was slow. It was really a struggle for our K2 teachers in regard to dealing with it. Teachers were up till 2, 3 in the morning working on them. It was a real problem. With anything you roll out the first time, you know, we see these kind of situations. Our hope is that we're going to continue to see that evolve and improve over time, but it is a laborious process. I've only had 2 parent concerns about it, and I think the concerns have come from, oh my gosh, this is a 6-page report card. Are you assessing my child on all these things all the time? So there's that connection of, are we over-assessing? And the answer is no. We are assessing exactly the same way we've always assessed. It is still only chunks that are being covered at certain quarters, so you're not going to see a situation where we're assessing our children more. We're going to do a better job of tracking our assessment, which I think is a positive thing for your child and for you, but it's not going to change that your child's going to be being tested all the time. In fact, this year, we've actually given our teachers the opportunity to pull back on some of our testing, and we're not using the formative across the board anymore in regard to one of the in-house tests that we use. Now, we are allowing teachers to use them if they want to with their kids, if they think the data was important, but we did a survey and saw that a lot of the teachers did not feel the data was that important, so we were given the flexibility to pull back from that for this year. That may be a little bit different next year if the state comes out with their own assessments, but as of right now, we've actually taken a step back in regard to our formal assessments that we've had in the past. So know that just because the report card's bigger does not necessarily mean that your child's going to spend all day assessing in the classroom. You should not see a major change in regard to what the classroom environment will look like. But it is a time-consuming, large product. That did not impact 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade at this, or I'm sorry, yeah, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade at this particular moment, and I don't think it will. I'm sure it's going to evolve as well, but right now that process is still electronic and will be exactly the same. Yes?
Do you think that those report cards eventually will be available online, like higher grades?
You know, they talked about that process. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think it would be nice to be able to allow that to happen. But I haven't heard much talk about it yet. I wouldn't say no in the future, because the problem that you run into right now is that, you know, we had to print all those things. Now, we didn't print them here at the school. Our CMS print shop did, but, you know, a 6-page document for, you know, an 1,100, or not 1,100, but be half your school practically. It's a lot of copies. So I would think eventually we'll go down that road, but we haven't heard much conversation about it yet, but it's a good question. So that was another thing that's kind of come out. I've already mentioned the parent survey, just to kind of, so you know, I started this last year. One of the things I wanted to do is to try to just use a different method to assess information from parents or to gather information. So what I do is randomly select 6 names. I just pull them random. I don't even look at them. I just reach into parents. Every teacher has a little folder that has their blue cards in it, and I just pull out 6 of them. I give 2 to Mr. Otalski, 2 to Ms. Hackett, who's our principal intern, and 2 to me. And we have a template that we follow, and I ask a series of questions. The first question I ask is in regard to how you feel like the school year is going. I ask if the parents feel that the child is enjoying school for the year. We talk about safety, we talk about technology, and we talk about communication. Those are probably the big 5 questions. It's about a 4-minute survey. We take that data, we input it into a Google document, and then every week when we meet as an administrative team, we talk about it. Overall, the feedback has been very, very positive. When I do get specific feedback about a particular situation or a particular teacher or particular issue, I go and address that right with the teacher so we can handle that quickly. I think the process has worked well. The parents have been very flexible about it, and they've been very excited that they get the opportunity. So it's just another method that we're trying to use to engage our parents and making sure we're doing what we need to do. The last question I typically ask is, what can we do differently at this school to make it better for your experience? So those are the questions that we talk about. Other events getting ready to happen. Next week, all of our students will get the opportunity to see a Raptor Center assembly on Monday and Tuesday. Part of our school will be going Monday, part of our school will go on Tuesday. There's 4 different sessions. That's being all taken care of by our parent-teacher organization, so they help fund that, but we will have those coming on Monday and Tuesday. They're about 45-minute sessions, and they're tied in with the Raptor Center, and they do a variety of different student experiences. We also have an update in regard to our playground. I try to post these things on Facebook pretty regularly. If you drive by now, you will see that it's landscaped around a concrete pad, and there's also posts, big metal poles hanging out of the ground. Those will be where we have a covering put in. They actually will get put in today. So we are moving right along with that process. That will be used as a learning area. It's a staged area. Originally, we had talked about we were going to use wood, but we decided that the concrete pad would last much longer and be less in regard to maintenance. So we went with a pad instead. So if you walk out there, you will see kind of a rectangular pad, and then you'll see 4 poles hanging out of the ground that will actually have a covering just like our yellow. It's a little bit different, but it's another shade structure that ties into what we're doing. And then that will leave us really one big thing left to deal with, which will be our track. And we're working on that right now. So Ms. Chuk and the PTO have been doing a great job with that. The town of Cornelius has helped a little bit with that. We've gotten some more additional landscaping done, so they've come out and helped us a little bit. So we're really happy with the way that process is going. I know Ms. Chuk is working on right now the midterm kind of assessment. Jimmy Johnson's foundation asked kind of a benchmark checkpoint of where we are with the process. So she's in the midst of working on that right now to let them know we are on progress to be done on time. So that's exciting. Our kids have loved it. You know, it's gone really well. My biggest concern out there was the swings and broken arms, but we haven't had any yet, which is a good thing. That is always my biggest concern in regard to any kind of thing we put out there is injury. But so far it hasn't been any worse than any other playground equipment that we have at the school. Next week, we only have a 2-day week. I know it's been seeming kind of fragmented the last 3 weeks. We had Monday off 2 weeks ago. We had Monday off this week. And then we only have Monday and Tuesday next week. And then we do go on our break for Thanksgiving. The other thing I wanted to mention is in regard to Christmas break. It's a little bit later this year. Just to kind of be forward thinking, December 20th is the first day of our holiday break. And I don't think we come back until January 3rd, if I'm not mistaken. I'm talking off the top of my head with that. Question? Okay, I think our last day is the 20th. Yeah.
We have Friday off.
Yeah, Friday's the day off.
Right.
Right. So, but that's a little later than normal, and it's a shorter break in general than it was last year. Last year is the longest break we've had in a while. January 2nd we come back. So just to kind of give you a heads up on that. The only other event I have written down is on December 6th. We do have a PTO event here at the school. We're going to have a holiday concert. Our second graders are going to perform at that concert. Just to kind of give feedback, or just to kind of give more information on this before I let Mr. Lavin talk, is that we have decided to reduce the grade levels that perform to one grade level at a time, mainly because we've just gotten too big. And we decided this last year. What was happening was that we were doing 2 grade levels, and we were trying to do 1 lower grade and 1 upper grade, and it was becoming a madhouse. We weren't able to really get our families in. It just wasn't a worthwhile experience. And then what we were also running into was really a courtesy issue, where our parents weren't really focusing on the event and showing good etiquette, and they were talking and doing everything, and it was becoming a real distraction for everything involved. So we've reduced it to 1 grade level at a time. So when you see our concerts throughout the year, 1 grade level will perform. So not every grade level gets to perform every year now, which is unfortunate, but we will do 1 at a time, just to try to allow our families to enjoy the experience a little more than we have in the past. And again, we started this last year, but just to kind of give some more background on why we did that, it's just our size. We're just too big right now.